Hello everybody, Nurse Scott here. How are you? Please like this video if you like it and consider subscribing to the channel. Click subscribe and ring the little bell so you'll be notified when new videos are available. So last night something very scary happened to me. I woke up in the middle of the night unable to breathe, like my throat was completely closed off. After doing some research, I think it's what they call sleep-related laryngospasm. This is a very rare condition, so of course it happened to me. So what happens is the muscles of the vocal cords, so the larynx, spasm and close, blocking the airway. This can happen due to acid reflux or a viral infection or anxiety or issues with the muscles of the throat. This diagram shows where all this stuff is. There's your tongue and your throat, and the vocal cords are technically the vocal folds. That's called your larynx or your voice box. It's the opening to the trachea or the windpipe going to your lungs. I think this was probably happening to me because I've been taking nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs or NSAIDs for my back pain, and those are notorious for causing acid reflux. While this might sound like a respiratory problem, it's actually kind of a GI problem and a throat problem. Actually, it's classified as a sleep disorder. So when the vocal cords swell, they block the airway from getting almost any air in or out, and some funny sounds can be heard. Um, and if it's due to due to reflux in a person, but they don't know they have reflux or the symptoms are very mild, they call it silent GERD, and it can be due to that as well. The good news is that it's usually self-limiting. It only lasts about 30 to 90 seconds, but when you can't breathe, that seems like forever. The bottom line is it is not an emergency. I was ready to call 911, but it actually is not an emergency since it does resolve itself. And it's important to know that this is not the same as sleep apnea. That's when either the structures of the throat and the tongue kind of collapse while you're sleeping and block the airway, or there's a problem with the brain and its control of your breathing, or a combination of both. That's sleep apnea. This is something else. This isn't this part of the throat. It's actually the voice box. It's actually the larynx that spasms, blocking the airway. I was going to kind of reenact the whole episode for you, but that's a little embarrassing. But I do have footage of a woman experiencing an attack just like I had. So let's take a look at what that looks and sounds like. That's kind of horrifying. If you could hear, it sounded like she was vocalizing, saying, and that wasn't voluntary. She wasn't making those sounds voluntarily. Those were her vocal folds coming together. Let's look at what's going on the inside. You may never have seen your vocal cords or anyone's vocal cords for that matter. So let's take a look. This is what they look like when viewed with a flexible laryngoscope, a camera that kind of goes into the nose and then points downward, looking into the throat. So this is what normal vocal cords look like. It looks like we're looking into a long tunnel. That tunnel is your trachea, your windpipe going down into your lungs. And as we'll see, the V-shaped structure right there, those are your vocal cords. Those come together and make sound as air passes through them when you sing or talk. This is a set of vocal cords as somebody is speaking or singing. That's the way it's supposed to work. They're supposed to close when you sing or talk and then open back up so you can breathe. But when they spasm and close, it looks like this. So when it first starts out, the vocal cords close very close together. There's only a little bit of space for air to get by, as you can see. Um, and there's a lot of sound made as you try to pass air over those vocal cords. And then as time goes on here, there's a little bit of a relaxation. You can see those muscles relax. That opening opens up more and more air. You can get more air in and out, and it's not as noisy. And then as it goes on even further, there's even more relaxation, coming back to almost normal. And the episode is finally over with. And what a relief. So, what can you do if this happens to you? Unfortunately, not much. The best you can do is try to move air in and out, even though there's only a small opening. For me, I tried to focus on taking long, deep breaths, even though I wasn't able to breathe in fast. I made sure to fill my lungs even slowly. So instead of going, it was more like, just making sure I kept air moving in and out. So I didn't want to pass out because I wasn't really sure what would happen next. Um, it only happened to me about 2 times, I think 2 times in the past, and I really wasn't sure what it was. I kind of thought it was I was like I thought I was dreaming. You know how sometimes you wake up with a jolt, like you were falling in a dream, and then you hit the ground in your dream, and you kind of wake up. I thought it was like I was choking in my dream, and I woke up and I was still choking in real life, but it wasn't that. And this episode was worse. It really scared me. It just I bolted right up out of bed and felt like I was being strangled, basically. And it's important not to panic, even though the thing that will make everyone panic is to cut off their air. You put your hand over someone's mouth or something like that. When someone can't breathe, they instantly panic. It's a reflex because remember your ABCs: airway, breathing, circulation. Airway is the first one. You've got to be able to get air in and out to live. I think the old saying is you can live without air for 2 minutes, without water for 2 days, and without food for 2 weeks. So, an immediate physiological need everybody has is air. We need to breathe. As far as preventing this kind of thing, this sleep related laryngospasm, um, the prevent you prevent this from happening by preventing the underlying cause, by preventing the gastroesophageal reflux. So whether that's taking medication to reduce the acid in your stomach, or changing your diet, or not eating close to bed, or sleeping with the head of the bed up, any of those things will help this. If it continues to happen, you should definitely seek medical attention. Again, I'm not giving medical advice right now, just general. People that have this should be seeking medical attention. There may be a referral to a specialist, maybe an ENT doctor, ear, nose, throat, or a pulmonologist that deals with lungs, or maybe even a GI specialist to get the GERD under control. They may even want you to see a sleep specialist and do one of those overnight sleep studies to see what happens while you're sleeping. I hope you learned something from my experience. I know I sure did. This is something that I hadn't known about before, so having it happen to me was not good, but the fact that I learned something was definitely good. So, on a lighter note, I've gotten quite a few responses from people who saw the last video that I put up, which was completely different than anything else I had put up there. That was the video of me playing the flute. And I'm glad you guys liked it and thought it was a stress reliever. It's playing music is a great stress reliever. For me, I've been playing one musical instrument or another pretty much my whole life. And there's a quote by Nietzsche, which I love, which says, "Without music, life would be a mistake." And I agree. Where would we be without music of some kind, whether that was your kind of music, or rock and roll, or classics, or um, jazz, or anything in between? Music, our lives have a soundtrack, and I really enjoy playing that soundtrack and playing music. Um, it's a great, especially with all the studying I've been doing lately. It's a good stress reliever from all the studying. Leave comments below. Again, like the video if you enjoy this, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos as they come out. Thanks for spending this time with me. I'll see you next time.